Welcome to this AE Connects chat presented by Hercules Tires. I have a couple of registered nurses with me today. One's at Mass General Hospital in Boston, the other Leahy in Burlington, Massachusetts. They both played together at UMass Lowell field hockey. It's Allyssa Moser and Alex Loblundo. I'll let them kind of introduce themselves first. So Allyssa, I guess I'll start with you. Tell me where you are right now and what you're doing amidst this pandemic.
So I am working at Leahy in Burlington as a registered nurse. I'm normally in the float pool, so I kind of float around to all the different units, but right now they have me like potted on specifically the COVID units. So I've been there for like 4 to 5 weeks now, taking care of COVID patients.
And Alex, how about you?
Hi, I'm also a registered nurse. I'm working at Mass General right now. Before all the COVID stuff, I was on a medical floor, but with everything and all the influx of patients coming in, my floor has kind of been on the border of like going to an all COVID floor versus staying medical. So right now I'm on a medical floor, but it can kind of change on a daily basis. We're also floating to different floors, so it kind of depends. Some days I'll be on a medical floor, some days I'm on a COVID floor. So
Two young medical professionals right on the front lines. I know you guys are probably extremely tired and extremely busy, so I do appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully I guess we can learn something just for the average citizen to take away from this. But I do want to get to know just kind of how you guys are living right now. Alex, I'll throw it right back to you, but how do you just kind of describe your life right now during a pandemic?
I mean, it's definitely different. As we said, we just graduated, so we were kind of like getting into the swing of things at first, and like just being a nurse and being like away from our parents and all that kind of stuff. And then you like get thrown into a pandemic, so it's kind of just like all about change and like taking that all in. Um, right now, just going to work, you don't really know what to expect. So I mean, I guess it's like good and bad. And then just on our off days now, it's just really just hanging out. If you have roommates, you can be with your roommates. But other than that, like I know I haven't seen my family in a while. I haven't seen really any of my other friends other than my one roommate. So that's taking some time to get used to, but I know it will be over soon, hopefully, and this will all be for the better. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, Allyssa, before I throw it back to you, but you guys must be somewhat quarantined. I guess, Alex, it's good that you have roommates. Allyssa, do you have any? I mean, you must be one of.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. Like I've been quarantining for like the past like 5 weeks. So I have two roommates, and luckily they're both nurses, so they're kind of doing the same thing. Like we've all been here together. But it is really important, especially since like we're so exposed at work, to make sure that we are still self quarantining, even though it is like super hard not seeing our family or our friends. But it is important in like the long run that we're staying home and not going out and exposing other people too.
Yeah, and definitely, like I said, appreciate the sacrifices that you guys are making right now, you and all the rest of the medical professionals out there. So, like I mentioned, you were both teammates, both graduated from UMass Lowell as nurses in 2019. Just a wild first year in the profession. I can only imagine. But I guess my question to start, in terms of having played together, having shared some nursing classes together, do you guys compare notes now on a day-to-day basis between MGH and Leahy?
Um, we do talk a lot. We're like in the
yeah.
same friend group, so we're like best friends, and then we have like other friends too that are kind of also going through this too. So we'll talk about, oh, like what are you doing there? Like what's going on here? Like we will like talk back and forth, but the policies like change on a day-to-day basis. So it's kind of hard to keep up with like what's like currently happening and what they're kind of experimenting with. But we do talk back and forth about like what's going on with each other.
Best
Yeah.
friends, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so I
Yeah.
assume this isn't. I'm not bringing you two together then on Zoom. You must have had some
No.
Zoom
No.
sessions.
No, not at
Shoot.
all.
Bummer, but yeah.
Uh, so I guess going back to your UMass Lowell days too. How much time did you two spend together? I mean, best friends. You got to spend a lot of time
A
together
lot. Yeah.
on and off the field.
Yeah.
I'd say I spent more time with Allyssa than I did by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had all our classes together, all our clinicals together, just because like with um, practice after school and everything, we had to do our clinicals together because our coach would have to push back practice a little bit the days we had clinicals. So we did clinicals together, classes together, field hockey together. We lived in the same apartment.
Yeah, legit everything.
Yeah.
What do you think about, I mean, that wasn't too long ago, obviously. You haven't even been out officially for a year. What do you guys think about when you look back at your time together as student athletes?
Um, I definitely like look back and I do really miss it. Like some days I do like being in the working environment and being on like the front lines of everything, but like I do look back and like miss like being around like college friends and like living with Alex and like my other roommates. So I look back and I miss it a lot, and at times I wish I could go back, but like right now we're sticking it out and working through this, but
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I definitely miss it all, but I also like look back and see like the nursing students that are seniors in college right now, and I feel lucky that like we
yeah.
graduated when we did, because I just can't even imagine. Like I know a lot of the nursing students right now aren't able to do their clinicals, and some like people are graduating on time, some people aren't. I don't really know the whole like exactly what's going on, but yeah, I mean, I feel lucky that we kind of graduated before all of this. So,
And on just a bare minimum floor level, you guys had a graduation, were able to walk, which it
Yeah.
doesn't look like many people are going to be able to do it all. How do you summarize just this first year of being registered nurses and just getting thrown into the fire?
uh, I'd
Uh,
say unique. Like if I had to pick one word, I would say unique. But
yeah, no, I agree with that. Like it's definitely like first, especially since we're both new grads going in, like you're kind of just figuring out like your facility, you're figuring out like how to even be like a nurse, because I mean clinical prepares you, and UMass Lowell like really prepared me and Alex, I'm sure. But it is like a totally different world like once you get on the floor, and like figuring out actually like how to be a nurse. And then now like with all the pandemic things going on, it just like completely like changes like what we've known to be like nursing and how to be a nurse, because now like since we're in crisis mode, it's kind of like basically a totally different type of nursing.
I think I remember you saying that in the article that UMass Lowell published, actually, right? You expected, I think that was you, Allyssa. You expected to be in the midst of a pandemic at one point, but
Yeah, at one point, I mean, we kind of like, of course, it affects our profession like directly, which at times is unfortunate. But I mean, I did like expect at some point we would probably be a part of one in our lifetime, but like did not expect it to be like this soon, just coming out of school. But luckily, we're both hanging in there and we're trying to get the hang of things. But yeah. But so far it's been okay.
okay. And I guess the last thing I have for you guys as we wrap this up is, what does the average citizen need to know right now? How can you kind of take us inside your work at hospitals to encourage safe practices as we try to beat this thing?
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing right now, I mean, I know a lot of people are getting frustrated with the rules and laws and everything going on, like with staying at home and not being able to see certain people. But I mean, I think that's really the only way that we're going to slow this down, and hopefully eventually we'll get like vaccinations and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, we just kind of have to, everyone needs to just relax and stay at home, I think. And I know it doesn't sound like that hard of a thing to ask for, but a lot of people are having a tough time, and I completely get that. But um, the more we can do that, the quicker all this will be over with. So I think it's just like everyone stay at home, relax. I mean, if you go outside, wear a mask, make sure to wash your hands. I mean, kind of just everything that they're telling us to do. We just need to buckle down for a little bit longer, and hopefully that will just slow down the process of all of this, and we can be done with it soon. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. Basically, I think like more people, since we've been quarantined for like a while now, like I think more people are getting just frustrated with it and they don't want to keep doing it. But like it is very important that we, it's hard because right now not seeing, like they keep saying, oh, flatten the curve, but we're really not like seeing that yet. Like we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and if people keep doing their part, it's just hopefully gonna kind of slow things down and eventually put them at a stop. So
Netflix shows, books, puzzles, anything.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
one follow-up I have to that before I let you two go. What is kind of your mindset in terms of being in hospitals every day? Like, are you assuming you have it? What are your bosses telling you?
So for me, since I've been on the floors for about 4 to 5 weeks, at times like I kind of get nervous about me having it or potentially getting it eventually. We do have the proper like the personal protective equipment. Like luckily we've been okay on that. We haven't really run out of it yet. We're starting to preserve it a little more, which scares me because like if this keeps going on longer and longer, eventually we will run low and run out. So that obviously puts us more at risk. But right now, luckily, like I'm not symptomatic or anything, so that's at least good. But it is in the back of my mind when I do go to work. I do get like anxious more so, not really like scared, but definitely anxious being at work and being like exposed. But the nurses and the and management and the doctors are trying to make it easier for nurses by like clustering care when you go in a room to see a patient. Definitely they're doing more things to make it easier for us so we're not increasing our individual exposure. So that is kind of easing my anxiety a little bit. But
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm kind of just taking it on a daily basis. I mean, before work every day, and I think Alyssa mentioned she had to do this too. Like, you have to answer like a screening question to get into work. So it's just like screens you for any symptoms that you've had the past day, and you have to fill it out before you go into work. So that's kind of like a good check in with myself to make sure I don't have any of the symptoms on that day. But I mean, like they've been saying, you can be completely asymptomatic and have it. You can not show symptoms for 2 weeks. So, I mean, right now, knock on wood, I'm feeling really healthy and I feel good. But in terms of like seeing people or seeing my family or anything, I'm treating it like I do have it,
yeah,
and just taking the precautions, not seeing my parents, not seeing my friends, anyone really. So I feel good, but I'm pretending like I do have it just because I have been exposed to it. So
yeah.
I don't know. Like Alyssa said, Mass General does have all the personal protective equipment right now, and I feel like safe at work. And I'm not nervous about that, but just with the spread of this COVID and how fast it's spreading and how it seems to be spreading so easily, like one small exposure, like taking your mask off like 1 second too early, anything like that, like you could potentially get it. So just kind of being extra precautious on it.
Well, again, I'm sorry that you guys have to sacrifice maybe a little more than I know other people aren't seeing their parents as much, but the two of you definitely on a stricter quarantine and keeping busy. Like I said, I mean, going into work every day. So I guess on behalf of not just America East, but everybody, thank you for your service and staying on the front lines. That's the terminology we've been hearing, but just being right next to it. You guys are brave, and I appreciate that, as well as appreciate you taking the time. And I'm glad the two of you are healthy to this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.